Right now we're at the John Wayne Airport in what is technically Santa Ana. And the reason we're here today is we heard that here at the airport, they have a car that belonged to one of history's biggest monsters, Adolf Hitler, and we're gonna try to find it. Right now we're at the Lyon Air Museum, which is located on the west side of the John Wayne Airport. And the Lyon Air Museum was founded by Major General Lyon from the United States Air Force. And in the museum, there are a lot of World War II era airplanes. The museum is here to honor the greatest generation. And apparently they also have one of Hitler's cars in here as well. So we're gonna take a look around the museum, check out the car, check out some of the airplanes, and here we go. The Lyon Air Museum is in a large hangar right on the airport. And seeing all the classic aircraft when you walk in the door is really impressive. This B-17 Flying Fortress, which is now called the Fuddy Duddy, with Elmer Fudd painted on it, was used as a VIP transport in the Pacific at the end of World War II. Both Generals Dwight D. Eisenhower and Douglas MacArthur had flown on this plane. It's crazy to see the amount of firepower on this plane. Look at all of these different guns. After the war, the plane was used as a fire bomber and in movies such as the 1962 Steve McQueen film, The War Lover, and the 1970 blockbuster, Tora, Tora, Tora. This B-25 bomber is the same type of aircraft that took part in the famous Doolittle raid on Tokyo in 1942. A really cool thing at the museum is they let you go under the plane and look up into the bomb doors. This particular plane flew combat patrol missions in Alaska and around the Aleutian Islands during the war. In the late 1930s and early 1940s, 90% of America's airline passengers were flying on DC-2s and DC-3s. That was because these were the first airplanes that could make money just by hauling passengers, without relying on government subsidies for transporting mail. This DC-3 at the Lyon Air Museum has an interesting backstory though. It was built during World War II as a C-47A and took part in the D-Day invasion, dropping paratroopers from the 101st Airborne in Normandy. The museum also has a C-47, but that plane was actually on the runway because it was going to be flown later that day. Most of the planes at the museum can still be flown. The Lyon Air Museum was founded by Major General William Lyon, who served during World War II in the Korean War and in his civilian life owned a home building company. The stated purpose of the museum was to honor the greatest generation in aviation. The Lyon Air Museum is absolutely amazing. All of the planes here, except for one, are from the World War II era. So if you're a World War II buff like me, this is definitely a place you want to check out. It is so cool seeing some of these planes that you read about in books in person. But I see off in the distance over there the car that we've come here looking for. So let's go take a look at it. The Mercedes-Benz G4 Touring Wagon was developed for the German Army and produced from 1934 to 1939. This particular one belonged to Adolf Hitler himself, and he even rode it into Poland after Germany invaded the country. The car was seized by the French Army in World War II and is in amazing condition. The upholstery is even original. So it's pretty crazy that this is the exact seat one of the most evil people of the 20th century sat in. Also, check out how thick the windows and doors are because of all the armor. The amount of armor on the car has led to something ironic, however. Due to how heavy the car is, because of all of that armor, it really does a number on the tires. When the tires had to be replaced, the only place they could find to get the right tires was in Israel. So Adolf Hitler's car now has tires made in Israel on it. Aside from a car belonging to one of history's biggest monsters, the museum has a number of other automobiles and motorcycles as well. As a San Diego Padres fan, I had to highlight this car as it was once owned by former McDonald's owner Ray Kroc, who saved the Padres. There were also vehicles owned by Steve McQueen and a number of World War II military vehicles. There was also this 1940s Helms Bakery truck. Helms Bakery's motto was "Daily at your door," and they did door-to-door bakery deliveries throughout Southern California from 1931 to 1969. The museum has a sign on the truck apologizing that they can't recreate the smell of the bakery truck, unfortunately. One thing at the museum that we thought was really great is there was an interactive zone where kids, or adults, can get into some of the vehicles. The museum also has a theater, and it's pretty neat because the entrance is done up like an old movie theater. For those wondering, the only non-World War II era aircraft at the museum is the Cessna O-1E Bird Dog, which was used in the Korean and Vietnam Wars. Well, that's our look at Hitler's car in the Lyon Air Museum. If you find yourself in the area, it is definitely worth checking out. We highly recommend this place. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.